when De De Pyar De released and it became a rage, I know that a lot of people said she's glam and she's city, and I mean, we can't cast her in girl next door roles. I would sit at a cafe or for my trainer's studio itself and carry all kinds of changes in my car. So I would have an Indian, I would have koi audition aa jayega, kuch aa jayega. So I used to be around Andheri, Bandra full day, and then in the evening go back to Kandivali. But yeah, there were times when I've signed a film and then I was replaced. There was a film I shot for 4 days and then I was replaced. It happened thrice with me, and the third time I remember I was like, okay, now I need to like really get to work mode. I am not a fan of the word women centric film. I think a film is a film.
Rakul, welcome to Pinkvilla.
Thank you so much.
Let me start by asking you, last year you had 5 releases, all very different characters from each other.
Right.
This year also you're starting with a very different subject, also very different character. Tell me, is this a conscious trajectory to entertain but also make an impact?
Of course, I mean, not that I'm consciously trying to do that. It's also a little bit of luck that these kind of films have come in, and I got a runway which is absolutely different because those are very rare films that are made, or whether it's film like a Dr. G, which was so credible as a subject. So I just feel, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I also do have a constant thought that I want to be as versatile. I don't want people to slot me as, acha, she can only do the dancing part, she's a commercial actress, or we can't take her in serious roles. So which is why I want to do a little bit of this and that. I want to do the commercial Naach Gana, but then I want to do hard-hitting films as well, and subject-oriented films, because I think it's an actor's job is to act and be versatile. If an actor is slotted, then you're not an actor. And that's my strong belief, and I think somewhere the luck and thought go hand in hand.
Sometimes actors do tend to get slotted.
Absolutely.
Stereotype is a problem. Do you still face it?
Luckily, because of the choice of films, maybe not, and actually, I'm not the right person to tell, do I face it? It's I don't know what the outside perspective is and how they look at me. But yes, at a point in my life, like when De De Pyar De released and it became a rage, I know that a lot of people said she's glam and she's city, and we can't cast her in girl next door roles. But the reality is that I'm actually a very basic girl next door innately. So I know that when Dr. G was a conversation, there was a time when it was narrated, but then there were few people in the team who had second thoughts saying, but will she look like a small town doctor or not? Which is okay, which is absolutely fair for them to have a doubt, because they are creating their film. But and I went up to them and I said, you know what, let's do one thing. Because half are pro me and half are confused, let's do a look test. Put me in the look of the character, because ultimately you have to be honest with the script. And even if I feel I'm not working for this role, I wouldn't want to do it. And we did that, and the same, like within 30 minutes I signed the film. So I'm also a very, I have no shame in saying, put me in the look and decide for yourself, because I believe I can do every kind of role. And then after that, what happens? Girl next door aa jata hai. So then Chhatri becomes girl next door. Dr. G was that. Thank God was a little bit of that. So the glam took a back seat. So I feel that when two films of similar type come, then people start thinking, acha, aap ye ho. And then when two films of a different type come, then they're like, oh, aap ye ho. You know? So,
No, you just mentioned a look test, and like you have already proved your mettle in the business. Are you okay doing a look test?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you why I'm asking this question, because a while back, years back, in fact, I was doing an interview with Rohini Hattangadi ji, and she told me that in the guise of a look test, they made me do an audition. This also happens. Is that a worry when somebody proposes this?
No, it's not a worry. In fact, I feel it's better on the contrary, because see, a director has a certain vision, and it's okay for him to maybe not be sure of you in that vision.
Yeah.
There's nothing to take to heart there because everyone is making their project, right?
I agree.
For me, my intention is I want to prove it that I'm worthy of this role and I can.
Yeah.
And for the director also, he wants the best for the film.
Yeah.
So in the West, the biggest of the actors even today audition. Like even a Tom Cruise would have to audition for a certain role.
Yeah.
Like if they're doing a next season, a series or Men in Black, they will audition everybody. We just take it to our heart or head, or I don't know, that array, matlab I've been working, what is the need to audition? If you're so confident, please audition. And I feel it's better because sometimes, like we spoke about the perception, sometimes because of the perception, the director might tell you, you know, I really want to work with you, but I don't think for this role you work.
Yeah.
So if look test is an option, they can put you in that look and see if you work or not, because it's sometimes people don't understand that you may look very different in a different look.
Yeah. You headline Chhatriwali. You're on the film's poster. Sometimes when these projects are being planned or made, the term women centric film is automatically attached to it, especially in the press. We are also to be equally blamed for this. However, at this point in time, how appropriate do you think is the term women centric film, especially in times when we don't say male-centric films, we call them films?
Correct. And I am not a fan of the word women-centric film.
Yeah.
I think a film is a film. It's just that the central character of that specific film ends up being a woman.
Yeah.
And you have to tell it through that character's journey.
Absolutely.
So I feel that when we talk about equality and we talk about, you know, in the world, not just the industry, it's only fair to say that look at a film as a film and not judge it by whether it's a woman heading the film or whether it's a male heading the film. If it's a good film, it should be, you know, called
a film.
A film.
Yeah, like you said, equality term starts from here, right?
Correct.
Where we don't have to separate them. There's no need to separate them.
I think the reason it is separated is there are fewer of the women-led films. And when there is anything which is rare, then people think, acha, this is a woman-centric film. Because for years, it's not been the case. But I think things are changing, and another few years, we'll look at film as a film.
Absolutely. This film talks about sex education, and kudos to you guys for taking that. But also in India, it's a subject which is still considered taboo. I remember when I used to grow up, in my school, it was also introduced, but it was made a mockery out of in a classroom. What was the first time when you were exposed to this subject, firstly, and how did your family react to it?
So in 9th standard books is when you first get introduced. Your first step to introduction is the reproductive organs of men and women, and you know, in 9th standard biology. And post that, even in my school, once we had those chapters. After that, we had a sex ed class. And again, like your school, even in mine, we were shy. We wanted to bunk the class. You know, the girls and guys were giggling. And somewhere, you know, it makes me question now today, after so many years, when you're doing a film like this, that there's a reason it's a part of the curriculum. Even imagine, I mean, you would have passed out before me. So since then, it's been a part of the curriculum. So somewhere, the educational system believes that it needs to be imparted in the right way at the right age. But due to the way we address it in the society, it becomes mockery. And that's the sad part, because I feel that it's so normal to call your organs by the names that they are. I mean, if you can call a nose, you can call a heart, you can't call a uterus.
Correct.
You know, and then you start showing, acha nahi, you know, padhna hi nahi hai, bolna hi nahi hai.
Correct.
And even the film tagline says optional nahi, compulsory hai.
Correct.
And in life, you don't have an option for this.
Yeah.
Everybody gets married, everybody has kids, that's the basic truth of human existence. So why is it an option for education? The only thing we're saying is educate so that at least you take the right steps and you're not doing things that are life-altering. You know, like miscarriages, abortions, extreme trauma to your health. So I think it's very important, and it'll change when the teachers start addressing it in a much more matter-of-fact, scientific, biological way, rather than them also being a little conscious. And then parents also should have those free-flowing conversations at home and talk about this is how your body grows. That's it.
Sure. Sometimes also what happens is, because this is a very commercial business of ours, we also look at everything from a business perspective. When you make a film on this, it somehow takes away from the mass appeal. And when I say mass appeal, it goes down to tier 2, tier 3 cities, because like I said, the topic is still a taboo.
Correct.
Because you're a part of the film industry, I want to ask how as viewers we overcome this shyness, because it's 2022.
Absolutely.
High time we call this a mass film as well.
So the thing is that we are different stratas in the society. We are not one when it comes to our whether it's our emotional quotient or our IQ or the way we think or our mindsets and beliefs. What happens is, the more we talk about it, the more films come out on taboo topics. Like, for example, I'll quote Padman to talk about period.
Yeah.
Now, it's the most natural thing. Otherwise, how is anybody born? It's science and it's nothing beyond that.
Correct.
But over years, there's been a certain taboo attached to it. Ki aise baat nahi karni. But why?
Correct.
Actually, if you go to the ancient history, people were much more verbal and vocal.
Correct.
Even when it came to talking about sex or talking about sexuality or just being very true to what human evolution is.
Yeah.
But over the years, over the last, I guess, 200 years or whatever, we became a little more conscious due to the society conditioning.
Yeah.
So I think the more conversations we drive, the more we normalize it. That's the only way to reach. And that is why educate them, and that's what this film does. Not just talk about safe sex, because that might be a taboo, but tell them, why are we saying safe sex? It's because it affects women's health. Nobody talks about, and especially in these tier 2, tier 3 cities, the number of abortions and the number of miscarriages, because the women are unaware that they have that there's something known as protection, that they have a choice, that they have a choice to protect themselves. They're not even aware. Which is why films like these, I believe, will drive the conversation in their head via a message of health angle. That you are harming yourselves.
Correct.
And awareness can only be created when more and more subjects like this come in. In fact, the statistics state that we are one of the highest countries in terms of teenage pregnancies and hence illegal abortions. And so many deaths also because of those illegal abortions happen. Now, if people know about it, then they'll know, acha, that is why they're saying protection. But if they don't know, and these facts are never highlighted, that conversation will not drive.
I agree.
So you need to break taboo by giving a logical reasoning as to why it's not a taboo.
True. I want to go back a little in the past. You came to Bombay in 2011. Am I correct?
Right.
That's right. How was those initial days in Bombay?
Fun, a lot of learning. Of course, I don't like the word struggle, but yes, struggle. Standing in queues for auditioning, trying to be present everywhere, trying to meet people. The first 2.5 years. I signed Yarya in 2013 beginning, if I'm not mistaken, or 20. So the first 2 years were sort of just trying to meet people and figuring your way. And I think that time, because you're so focused and so driven, I am somebody who never looked at it as struggle. I was ready to do that hard work because I knew it's not going to be easy. It was the road less traveled. I didn't know anybody in the industry. I used to live in Kandivali, so I would drive all the way and come to Bandra and work out here and then stay in Bandra, so that if I get any call, I would sit at a cafe or for my trainer's studio itself and carry all kinds of changes in my car. So I would have an Indian, I would have koi audition aa jayega, kuch aa jayega. So I used to be around Andheri, Bandra full day, and then in the evening go back to Kandivali. And I was staying in Kandivali because I couldn't afford Bandra at that point.
Correct.
It was a lot of learning and a lot of growth, and there was some beauty about that those years as well.
You learned so much from it.
If you don't have those rejections, you can never taste success. I feel you don't value success when you get it easy. So there's a sweetness to the struggle always.
Were there tough moments? You remember any tough moment that you still look back and feel grateful for?
Absolutely. Lots of tough moments. But the thing is that I think God's hand, that I was always a very positive person. So even when I didn't know कि ऐसे depressed होना है, sad होना है, पता ही नहीं था कि ऐसा भी होता है. And also very tough in my head, and you know, like कि if I've thought it'll happen, that kind of an attitude. So possibly that goes to my upbringing and the whole Fauji way of being.
Tough army
background. So I was like, okay, if this is not happening, something else will happen. You know, so it never really dejected me. But yeah, there were times when I've signed a film and then I was replaced. There was a film I shot for 4 days and then I was replaced. But the thing was, at that point I was such a confident girl that I was like, acha hoga kuch, chalo kuch aur mil jayega. You know, but I always knew that I will.
Were you given a reason to be replaced?
Yes, I was given a reason that they thought that they wanted to go ahead with someone who was already a star. And which I understood, because that producer's last film, which also had a newer girl, had released on our first day of shoot and it tanked. So I think he got a little conscious and wanted to have like 2 stars, you know. So the guy was a star. I wouldn't take names right now.
Sure.
But I was okay. It happened thrice with me, and the 3rd time I remember I was like, okay, now this is, I need to like really get to work mode. But never was there a time that I felt, will I be able to do it or not? Because in the beginning when I moved to Bombay, I told my parents I'm giving myself 2 years. If in 2 years I don't crack anything, I'm going to get back to my studies, because I believe, because I was a good student, and I also knew that I would not do anything which is not the best. I didn't want to be a struggler. I didn't want to be that person who's working to make ends meet at any point in any profession. So मैंने खुद ही अपने आप को बोला था, देखो 2 साल दे रही हूँ. Once I get back, if I don't crack it in 2 years, I'll go back to my studies, because I was a maths graduate. But luckily things worked.
Touch wood.
But it's always a journey. It's always a journey. Like, I mean, the struggle is constant. It just changes. Now the struggles are different. People may think that it's easy, but at every point in your career, at every point in your life, your challenges change, your struggles change.
What's the struggle now?
No, now the struggle is that I want to be, because I'm being versatile, now I have to get scripts which are not repetitive, which are also giving me enough to do. I don't want to be a prop in a film. So the struggle is to get those scripts. Then also sometimes if there's a delay in finding that script, you know, something that really touches your heart, then the struggle is that, do I sit at home and wait because I'm a workaholic? You know, something will come, but then there's pressure. Okay, there were 5 films last year. Then if there's only 2 films this year, then people will say, "Acha, kaam kam kar diya." So you don't know. So it's not about the number, but it's always about getting the right film that really touches your heart, that is something that will excite you, that will also keep people entertained. The number of films now post this whole COVID is going lesser because of the backlog. So there's always a constant thought.
No, things will be fine. Don't worry.
A
lot is happening also on the work front. I think you're doing Indian 2 also.
Yes.
And you're doing Ireland also.
Yes.
Have you finished shooting? What's happening?
Almost. I think there are just songs left for both the films.
How exciting is it to shoot with Kamal Haasan sir?
Very exciting. I mean, Kamal Haasan sir is an institution in himself, and I feel very lucky that I've gotten an opportunity to work with him. When him, Amit ji, you know, these guys are institutions. They are films. The Indian cinema belongs to them. They're 80 years, you know. I mean, out of 100 years of Indian cinema, they've been there for so long, 60 years, I think, both of them. So it's amazing, and it just inspires you that, you know, there's no shortcut to success. You have to be driven and you have to be so passionate about your work, because that's the only way you can reach that kind of legendary status.
You're in a happy space professionally and personally. What are you expecting from 2023?
To begin with, Chhatriwali being a success, and of course great work, peace, growth, happiness. I just ask these limited things, you know, that I should be working, I should get great films, people should love my films, and I should be peaceful.
Lovely. But thank you, Rakul. I can't wait to see Chhatriwali and everything else you're doing in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.